We Republicans, hosted by JP. A friend of mine and I were talking, and he said he didn't understand the beginnings of the Ukraine war. So I explained to him in terms that anybody can understand. You and your neighbor have a dispute about your property. You wake up one day and your neighbor moved a shed onto your property. And you claim, hey, that's mine. You fight about it. It goes to court. It gets unresolved. A couple years later, you wake up again and your neighbor had moved his fence in your property. And you're like, hey, you moved your fence. It goes to court, goes to litigated. Dispute doesn't get settled. And then you wake up one day and your neighbor comes over, shoots your dog, kills your kids, starts stabbing you, and cop Trump shows up and says, hey, the cops are here, everyone calm down. And it's at this point the cop says, hey, let's negotiate an end to this disagreement.
We Republicans know the key to any negotiation is to have something the other side wants, to know its value and bring it to the table. Ask yourself, what does Russia want? Well, Russia wants its former empire back, to look strong to the world, and it doesn't care how many people die to do it. Trump told us he is a master negotiator, yet Trump keeps giving Putin stuff prior to starting negotiations and without asking for anything in return. Trump has been in office for 1 month and has already given Putin the following. On February 6th, the FBI Foreign Influence Task Force was disbanded. The FBI group tasked with enforcing foreign agent registration was also disbanded. The Crypto Capture Task Force, tasked with enforcing Russian sanctions, was disbanded. On February 12th, Trump commented Ukraine will not recover all of its territory or join NATO, giving Russia two major concessions prior to starting any negotiations and without consent from Ukraine or the EU. On February 13th, Trump said Russia would be allowed to return to the G8. Russia was kicked out of the G8 in 2014 for invading Ukraine territory of Crimea. On February 18th, Trump falsely claimed Ukraine started the war. This is a Russian propaganda statement. On February 20th, the U.S. opposed a resolution by the UN to state Russia was the aggressor in the conflict. The United States joined Russia, North Korea, Iran in voting against the resolution. This is the only time we've stood up with those three. Trump has ordered all Department of Defense Russian cyber offensive operations to stop, yet Russia has not stopped their own, despite the fact that it has, for the last 8 years, meddled in our country. Last week, the White House held a press conference with Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, and it was the biggest Russia giveaway the United States has given so far. Trump showed that he would not enforce a negotiated settlement with Putin if Putin decided to break it.
She's asking, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me.
Trump is the gift that keeps on giving to Putin. Is it any wonder why the meeting with Zelensky went bad? When did us Republicans become stooges for brutal dictators like Putin? When did us Republicans start backstabbing our allies and friends like the EU and Ukraine? When have us Republicans never stood up against a bully?